Everyone to call the meeting to order. Before we get started, I would like to, well, let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to take a quick second to have a moment of silence for the people that, again, were devastated by the earthquake and also the recent shootings at, was it in Massachusetts or Michigan? Just take a quick moment for the victims. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have the agenda for tonight. I just want to go over it real quick because we do have some amendments. So we have a presentation from Ethan Sweep of Congressman Ivey's office. I'd like to move past an upcoming events towards the end. I'd like to open up for resident and public comments shortly. Go through the mayor's report, go through the approval of the minutes, go through council reports. We're going to be trying something new tonight where we are going to be talking about a new way of having our town meetings through, what do we call this? The consent, under council rules, a consent agenda. So that we take less time going through things and have our meetings be a little shorter. We then have our new lawyer. So we'll introduce him, go through new business, and then hopefully just spend the rest of the evening, again, opening it up for resident and public comments. And that is pretty much it. Are there any additions or am I missing anything, or are you okay with this agenda? All in favor, or actually, sorry, I'd like to request a motion to approve the agenda.
Councilmember Harden, I'll make that motion as stated.
Councilmember Hobbs seconded.
I'm not going to call for discussion because I kind of feel like I did that before. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and call the first person here, Mr. Ethan Sweep. Thank you so much for being here. We're opening the floor to you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Castañas. Yeah, so my name is Ethan Sweep. I am a community liaison with Congressman Glenn Ivey, and I wanted to just come out and introduce myself to all of you right now, and let you know that our office is here to help with whatever you may need, because we are here to help you help serve your constituents better. I also want to talk about some of the things that we have coming up. So we are currently working on getting our grants newsletter off of the ground. So that is going to hopefully be coming out very, very shortly, and that will have information on federal grants that are available, federal grant resources, as well as some training webinars. So if you go to ib.house.gov and under services, there will be a little thing that says grant assistance, I believe. So hopefully sometime next week, that I heard from our partners that are helping me get that on today. Next week, there will be a subscription link. So please check that out to stay up to date on money that is going to be coming through the federal system for you all to use. The second is that we have our community project funding process that is going to be starting up somewhat soon. And that is a grants program through the House appropriations process. We are currently waiting on guidance from the Appropriations Committee as to what it will look like in fiscal year 2024. So we don't have any kind of guidance on what the process will look like, how much money will be available, and how people will apply. But we are hopeful that the money will be there, similar to like it was in fiscal year 2023. So I would love to have a conversation with you, the mayor, the council, whoever, to talk about projects that you all have in mind for your city and whether or not they would be good projects for us to put forward to this program. So let me just put my contact information here in the chat so you all have it there. And then I guess while I'm here, does anybody have any questions that I can help answer at this moment?
So I do. So what type of projects are you saying that you have funding available for? So there are a couple ideas that we have, and I'm wondering if anything kind of aligns with what you're trying to fund right now.
So we're not really necessarily trying to fund like any project in general. This is just like, so it used to be referred to as earmarks through the congressional appropriations process. So we would find communities, nonprofits, projects that we would like to support and kind of get them into this program. I can't recall off the top of my head like ones that were funded by previous offices, since we're like a new member office. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me and let's like schedule a meeting to kind of talk about what you have in mind, and maybe we can like kind of suss out from there what we want to kind of hone in on. Yeah, I don't want to limit it to any like specific thing right away, because I've had multiple conversations with a few different towns and the ideas are kind of all over, and I like to see what you all are thinking and make sure that we're hearing everything. You're not like focusing in on something just because it's what we want or what works.
Awesome. Any council members have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. Thank you. No, I don't. But I really appreciate you coming out with that information. I look forward to hearing what you guys give guidance on what the process is like, and just building more conversation around it. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Just real quick. Hey, Ethan, it's Melinda Mendoza, council member here in town of Colmar Manor. I just wanted to say it's so great to hear from you, and congratulations on your position with Congressman Ivy's team.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Mendoza. It means a lot.
All right, thank you so much. We'll follow up with you for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So next up, I would like to actually call Mr. Deloche to introduce himself, and then yeah, please introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am so happy that I'm here tonight to on my initial representation of Colmar Manor. I want to say for the record that I am honored to follow in the footsteps of John Barr. John Barr is a legend in the municipal law community. He is an excellent lawyer, and I am honored to follow him. I'm honored to represent Colmar Manor. I look forward to hopefully having a very long relationship, and I will work hard for Colmar Manor. I have a reputation of doing so, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Any questions or immediate needs?
I'm sure that will change as we move forward.
So thank you so much for saying that. So just as an FYI, Mr. Barr had been the town's lawyer for 20-something years, 30
Longer than that, yes.
30 plus years, and he became ill towards the end of the year. He actually gave his notice, and we are hoping that he is better I have not reached out to him lately, but I would like to host something for him to recognize him when he gets back. Actually, sorry, when Dan gets back in April or in May to appreciate Mr. Barr. But I'm also very excited to have you, Mr. Deloche. I know that you work with the town of Cheverly. I know that you work with the town of Brentwood. Already, I saw the email from Mayor Casey and the potential spades tournament that we want to do together. And the question
Yes.
that you had is money. Um, I know that for me right now, what I'm kind of feeling an immediate need for, and where I could definitely use your help, is just reviewing all of our town template agreements and contracts. I think that they can be improved. And just trying to find a way how to have us go more in an electronic direction.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Like, oh God, I need to get these contracts in place, and they need to be tight, and they need to be better than what we have now. I don't know if the town administrator wants to add anything, but just again, super excited to be working with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to working with you all, and I'll jump right on those contracts. I guess I'll get with Mr. Holcomb and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So next we have another presentation from Ms. Pamela Morris from Making Life Matter.
Good evening, everyone. My apologies. I was having some technical difficulties, so I was in and off. But I did want to share a couple of updates with regard to, we'll kind of share Making Life Matter, what we do, and a couple of updates that may impact the community in a positive manner. So Making Life Matter is a nonprofit organization that partners with other local nonprofits, agencies, and community-based organizations in order to provide comprehensive wraparound services to individuals, children, and families. Specifically, we have partnered with the Institute for Creative Community Initiatives, which is another local nonprofit, in order to provide resources to persons of color, ages 18 to 64. These resources include employment and job training opportunities, as well as food and nutrition, supplements and securities, other social needs, mental health resources, and a host of wraparound services. In addition, there is another opportunity which targets, or program that targets specifically transitioning youth, men of color, ages 16 to 24. And this program is a more intensive, and it really looks to provide, again, the employment training and placement for the transitioning youth ages 16 to 24. So really want to get that information out to the community. If there are citizens within Colmar Manor that can benefit from these resources, I definitely would like for them to be available. Any questions? Yes.
That I can take a look at.
I beg your pardon?
Is there a website that I can take a look at?
Yes,
Ms. Morris, you're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. And yes, I'll put the website in the chat. It doesn't have those two specific programs that I spoke about, but you can kind of get an overview. Making Life Matter as an organization, as well as my partner, Institute for Creative Community Initiatives.
Any council members have any questions, comments?
Ms. Moore, I really appreciate you coming out tonight. As far as you guys coming on site and doing maybe information booths or anything like that, is that possible for you guys to come out if we have events or if you wanted to partner in an event?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is my hope as well. Always, mention that people have relationships with people, not paper. So I can, definitely distribute literature and provide information. But in terms of engaging the community, I would love to provide information sessions or be part of any current or future outreach initiatives in order to share that information with the community directly.
Thank you. And I had one more question.
Absolutely.
This cost?
I beg your pardon?
Does this service cost?
No, absolutely not. It is free. We received 2 small grants from the Department of Health that covers the costs for operation of these programs.
Ms. Morris, this sounds very interesting to me. So any information that you can email over to us or, there you go, makinglifematterinc.org would definitely help me get a clearer picture as to who you are. This is something that we definitely need in our community. What I will say is that, and I tell this to everyone who comes and wants to work with us, the hardest thing that I've seen when it comes to organizations coming here is outreach. So it's one thing to put a flyer out, but it's another to actually knock on doors and get people to come out to things. And that to me is the most effective way of getting people to come out to things. On the boots, on the street, boots on the streets, knocking on doors and letting people know about your organization, and then having an event to explain what you do. I think that would be very, very valuable. What I will also tell you is that a lot of the people in our community are also Spanish speakers. So I don't know if I understand that's not your target audience, but I'm wondering if you offer any services to that community as well.
ICCI, the organization, does not these 2 initiatives that I spoke about, but if you you can get information about other programs through ICCI as well as HCDI, which covers more of the larger scope. And that's supposed to be a period, not a comma, for ICCIinitiatives.org.
Okay, but yeah, let's definitely figure out if we can make some time to meet and if you can actually, get some people out on the streets in our community. We have a small community, to have some type of a meet and greet and definitely get people to learn more about your services. I think that would be amazing and it's definitely needed. So we also partner a lot with neighboring communities. So Cottage City is right next door. So we're always happy to invite them to come to any event that we're doing. So thank you so much for sharing this information. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. Are there any other questions? Is there any other information I can put in the chat?
Your contact info.
Okay, so I will put, yes, I'll put my contact information, my email address, as well as, well, the website's there, but let me put my contact information as well.
All right, thank you so much. So I'd like to now, I don't think we have any other presentations, so I'll open it up to resident and public comments. Please keep it to 3 minutes per person. So if you're on Zoom, feel free to raise your hand. If you're in person, just step up to the podium, your name and the street that you live on, please.
Julianne Bethay, 4206 Monroe Street. A couple of things. You did your motion to revise your agenda, but you didn't put the word revise. You left it as the same agenda when you voted on it. You didn't add the word revise. Okay, couple questions. One, last meeting you had someone here to talk about the neuter and spade program. I didn't see any flyers out. Do you have any information about that available?
So the town authorized grants at the Tuesday, or when was that?
I can't hear you.
Was it Tuesday we did that? Yeah, just last Tuesday, we authorized the grants for that program.
Okay.
We don't have any flyers yet. The program's not up and running yet.
Okay, okay.
But it is a local organization that is over in Mount Rainier that is operating right now.
Okay, from Mount Rainier, okay. And the other thing I had a question of, what has the lobbying group brought to the town as far as help with finding monies to do other programs?
So the lobbying group was here at our last work session last week. So they reported on the phone call that we had with Senator Augustine and Delegate Fennell and DHCD. I forgot what the name of the gentleman, there was a whole Charlie Day. And so what we're working on is getting the loan forgiven on our building. So currently we owe 1.6 million on the building. We have a 15-year bond because we refinanced, I think, what, last year or a year and a half ago?
Year and a half ago.
What we were told was that we have these payments that we need to make that cannot be changed. So even if we wanted to pay in advance, or let's say we had a windfall and we got $10 million, we still need to make those payments, and we can't pay any more above what we're supposed to be paying. So after 10 years, that could possibly be reviewed, but as of now, that's the only thing that that can happen. So they're still trying to have these conversations with DHCD. That's my main focus. So one of the things that I realized, and that a lot of residents have come up to me to discuss, is our high property taxes. And part of the reasons why we have high property taxes is because of this building. So we have $600,000 in our unreserved funds. We also have some money in a trust fund. Is it a trust fund or an investment fund? The reality of the situation is that we're kind of in trouble. So we need to find ways to make money. So I mentioned that at our last work session, that as a town, we need to figure out how to make money. We enlisted the help of the lobby firm, because it seems to be like a topic of discussion that everyone's interested in, so that we can get the debt lowered and that they can find us more money for different projects. So the first thing that they're tackling now is arranging these meetings and to have these discussions on paying off the debt. So as far as getting us any money, I think we have to wait, let them do their thing. The legislature is in session for the next 3 months. And so I know that there's a lot of money that's being talked about. And so we're waiting to hear from them how they can connect us to those resources that we need.
Are you exploring, you said you met with the delegate and your district delegate. Are you working with them? Because they can also help
Yep, we're
explore.
working with them.
Okay.
I have to say, I am so grateful and thankful for Delegate Fennell and for Senator Augustine. Literally, after we hung up from having that conversation with this group, they called me right away to tell me that they're doing all they can to help our town. And for me, that meant a lot. So this is something that is on everyone's mind right now to help us, because we are in trouble. I mean, in 6 to 7 years, we could possibly have no money. So this was eye-opening for me, and I realized in my gut, we're in trouble and we need to find ways to make money. And I don't want to just rely on renting out the town hall to make money. That's one of my personal pet peeves. I hate renting out the town hall because it should be open for our town residents. I don't think it's fair that town residents have to pay to use the town hall, but it's how we're making money to pay for different operations of our town.
One other comment, what will the town or the council be doing regarding offering some tax relief to the citizens? We do have the highest tax rate in the municipality. Of the 28 municipalities in PG, we have the highest.
We're actually third highest, seventh highest in the state,
Yeah,
third highest in PG.
yeah.
But that's a budgetary discussion that is on the ongoing process, but
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Deborah Williams, Newark Road. So just to kind of get an understanding with what was just said, because we're in trouble as a town, does that mean that our taxes could potentially go up within the next 6 years? Will they continue to rise or will they stay the same? Especially since we can't do anything about modifying the grant, if you will,
So we can't do anything about modifying the loan.
the loan rather, I'm sorry.
So we're part of a bond program that the state of Maryland offers, and that's how we were able to fund the construction of this building.
Yeah,
So as far as raising taxes, I don't think we raised taxes in a couple of years. I think Mr. Baden can talk about that more. I don't know. I think that we need to have hard discussions,
yeah,
like real hard discussions, and they're not going to be pretty. I did not realize the mess that we were in until we had that conversation
Yeah.
with our delegate and with our senator. It was disturbing to me,
yeah,
but I'm hopeful. I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, again, that's why we hired this lobby firm. Their main goal is get us money. Like, we need money.
yeah.
But we also need to figure out, like, how else can the town make money? What else can we do? So I know that it's not that it's gonna make a huge dent, but Greg has been looking into how can we raise the rates of renting out the town hall. Our town hall is booked almost every weekend. Why? Because we have low rates. So that means that we need to adjust something. But I don't know if anyone else wants to kind of address Ms. Williams' question.
Because based on what you said, you're right, that is disturbing. And I'm just wondering if this was something that was known, and I know, that, it's spilled milk now, of course, but this was something that if this were something that was known that would happen to the residents, you know what I'm saying? Is that something that they would have thought about doing before they would have said, okay, yeah, let's just do this and we'll do we'll borrow this amount of money and set it in stone for 15 years or 20 years or whatnot. And then the residents as a whole, all of us who live here are going to be the ones that suffer for it. So when you're talking about those who, being here as long as I have, but I've always tried to consider those who were seniors, always. That was some seniors and babies, that's my thing. And so now moving up into those years, right? And you're on a fixed income, I've always considered those who own property that were on a fixed income. That's something I always consider children and seniors in my voting, and that's just me. I know I'm just saying it, but just so you will understand why I'm asking those questions. That's a bad thing. I can't believe that would have been done and put on the backs of people who are, who aren't going to stay any younger, so yeah.
Listen, getting on council, my whole perspective was, all right, I'm gonna get here. We're gonna make change happen. And getting here and seeing what problems have been underlying for years that have only built steam because it's been put on the back burner. It's made me realize that one, we're in deeper than I ever would have known. Growing up here my entire life, I've been under the illusion that we've been operating under a fixed budget to make things happen here. And it's really just been, we've been surviving. And I agree with you. It is very alarming because I've lived here my whole life, and I can't imagine living anywhere else, truthfully. I wish I had more answers towards what we're going to do towards taxes, but we're currently working with our lobbyist group and the delegates, and I'm just hoping that they're fighting hard for us inside of session.
Because I was here during the session, as you all know, just listening in on what the Greenwell, if you will, what they had to offer. And I don't want to say it sounded like pie in the sky because I don't know. I'm hopeful too. But, you know, when you come in, they seem quite impressive. But we need to see based on what you're saying, we got to have some results. We need more than just talk, you know what I'm saying, or pie in the sky. We need to have something, some results, because this is hurtful. It is alarming and it is hurtful.
And I get
Yeah.
it. I would
Yeah.
say, let's move away from this discussion of why do we have a lobbyist firm? I think, what are we spending on the lobby firm? $6,000-$7,000?
No, I didn't ask why.
Oh,
I
no,
just
no,
said,
no.
yeah,
Not,
yeah.
I'm not just
You don't
saying,
talk about-
just you, but I'm just
Gotcha.
saying, like, let's move away from that and actually think about how are we gonna make the town money?
Yeah.
How are we gonna work with the town and council? What things can we do? What type of feedback do the residents have on what we can do as a town? So I think that's what I'm focused on. Greenwell lobbyists, it could be whomever. I have
Mhm.
faith in them. Will they solve all of our problems? No, but they're actually representing us in some important spaces. And for me, that's already a success. So if you have Delegate Fennell and Senator Augustine talking about this, setting up a meeting with the head of DHCD, that to me is a big deal. So let's give them time and see what they do. And then at the end of the day, if they're not producing what we want them to produce, we don't have to continue with them. I've been very frank with them as to what I expect. So let's see what happens.
Okay, sure, thank you. So I have one additional item that I want to address, and that's the light, the lighting again. And as I had spoken before, and I saw that my comments were in the last minutes, I still appreciate about the lighting, but there is no change in the new light that was placed down near 42, the 4200 block. There is, you get past that one little small section and you've got almost the entire block that's dark. Oh, from before in front of my home until you get down to the third house down, it's dark. So the bulk of that car wash area is dark. And there are people that come out every day. They stand in front of my home. They look in my window. It's the same people, same ones. We need lighting that's going to be appropriate in that area. I really, really, really would appreciate that. And it needs to be checked out. I really would appreciate. There's no budding of the trees that's taking place yet, so it's not the trees. They're bare. We need some lighting, some appropriate lighting there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so I don't, Ms. Dixon, Ms. Williams keeps on coming and talking about this lighting issue, and I want to know, like, what do we need to do to address this, or what's already being done to address it?
Last month, we spoke briefly about it, and I mentioned the tree, and I think the tree that's there is evergreen. So there's some foliage, there's some. It's not a straight shot for light to come through, but I think the trend with Pepco and street lights is to light the street, like downward light. And elsewhere in our community, I've had a couple of complaints regarding lighting from businesses that protrude into the residential area. From a public safety, chief of police aspect, the more light, the merrier. From a resident standpoint, maybe not so much. I don't know. There's a balance that we need to meet from the Pepco streetlights. They're not as, they go down and light the street, but there are some lights in town, perhaps put up years ago, that I think I mentioned last time, you get a suntan on certain corners that they're so bright. I don't know what that balance is, but I think that's I should have said that last month with the Pepco, is that they tend to do straight down and not the wide angle that we do have elsewhere in town.
So what can we do to address this?
There's still, I mean, there's still available ARPA money. We actually didn't use the money that we allocated from the street lighting. The furniture purchases and the flooring came in cheaper than what we had budgeted for. So it would just take a request from you all to move that money back over into street lighting and authorize us to do the paperwork to get in a street light. What I was saying was that we have money left over from ARPA. The money that was reallocated out of street lighting wasn't fully used. The furniture and the flooring that we had done and the painting actually came in under what we had budgeted for. So it just takes an action of the council to put that money back in or put some money back into street lighting in ARPA and authorize us to fill out the paperwork to do that light or other lights. Or, I mean, I guess the other option would be, just instead of just arbitrarily pulling this number out of a hat and authorizing it right now, you could just tell us that's what you want us to do, and we'll work on getting the quote, the cost, the location. There were a couple other locations that we had discussed too.
From
and
that,
then,
well, I'm sorry.
yeah.
For that area specifically, if I recall, in the 4200 block of Newark is where we added 2 lights. I think we're on every pole there now. Is that, I have to go back down and look at it. I think it's on every pole, where generally throughout town, there's a street light on every other pole. There are some exceptions. Some there's every 3rd pole, and some they're right next to each other. And now in the 4200 block of Newark, it's on every wooden pole. And we added one in the 3600 block of 42nd, just around the corner where there was no street. So I think we've put a light on every pole in that area. And we went to a different, I don't know if Pepco offers a different type of light. When I spoke with them, I asked for the same color, the same brightness as those around it. Admittedly, that they don't go out, but they go straight down. I think we're at capacity, is what I'm saying. We're at capacity with streetlights and poles in that particular area.
So I guess the recommendation would have to be that you have to let us go to the drawing board to figure out what options there are. Maybe there's a higher wattage that they could change out that light. I don't know.
And that there is, that what we requested, I don't know what it would cost to upgrade them at this point, but what was requested was to be similar or the same as those neighboring lights, so that it didn't look out of place.
Do we have an idea of how the light looks that goes out more? Not the one that goes straight down? Do we have something in town that has that?
Yeah, I think probably a majority do go out more than what was installed. Some go way out. If you look on 40th Avenue and Newton and Newark and 39th Place and Newton, it's very bright there, but those lights go like out in all directions. And I know that Ms. Williams welcomes lots of light. I know of other residents I have spoken with who don't want to see it. So that's for y'all. That's for the mayor and council to kind of figure out.
I do welcome lots of light, but I welcome the light that would be efficient with the dark area. That's what I'm welcoming that. There is, okay, if it were not for the lighting that came from behind the medical building, then it would be totally black. From right past McDonald's until you get down to almost 4205. Now, there is a street light that is like at either 4203, 4205, between 4203 and 4205. That light, it's not doing anything to affect where the car wash is and the medical building. When the medical building lights are not on, and it's not up to the medical building to light the street. Okay, and I mean, tell me if I'm wrong about this. It's not their job. You're seeing the lights that's coming from Bladensburg Road that's shining, or the light from that convenience store that is shining. But when you come away from that convenience store, you see shadows. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Okay, but the light that they placed there straight down, like you said, is doing nothing. There's nothing there except the medical building. And so I don't know if it's something that maybe, I don't know, if you ride by that way at night, it's certain times of night. But when that medical building, when those lights are out, it's black. And so, yes, I do welcome lots of light. I don't have a problem with it personally, but what I really welcome is to get some lighting there. That's what so I just need to make clarity for myself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So what I'm going to suggest is I don't know what solutions are available to solve this direct issue off the top of my head right now. I know Pepco limits us on the type of lights we can actually put on those poles that they install. So until the town actually owns them, which I've had some discussions with companies about that whole process, but until we own them, we have to put what Pepco has available. So let me find out maybe there's a different type of light that they authorize that we can have them upgrade it, but we do have available money in ARPA still left that we could use to upgrade it if there is something that can be upgraded. So I can definitely have it by the next work session information.
Do we have a map of like all the streetlights?
If you go online on Pepco, they have a website that if you zoom in enough, you'll see every street light in the town, including a couple that we put in to be fixed on October 29th that still haven't been fixed, but I digress, but it's on Pepco's website. There is addresses every light in town.
So can I ask that we get that map? I mean, I'm not sure if that's necessarily like something that you need to do, Chief, but you can get the map of the streetlights. And let's say we did decide that we wanted to purchase our own or have our own lighting. What does that process look like, and when could we have something like that in place?
So the details from Pepco are still a little vague. However, a company did reach out to us that is working in Maryland. They've done other states of assisting with the purchase of the streetlights and then converting them over to LED. And this includes, any upgrades that you would have in the process, and they would have warranties, et cetera, but they would help you manage all that. The next step with that specific company would be to do essentially an audit of our lights to make sure what Pepco says they're providing us and the types of lights that they say that we're paying for are actually the ones that are there. And then to do an assessment kind of where, if there's dark areas and whatnot, but then would also look at the budgeting aspect and the expense side of it to see if it's actually feasible. So basically it's a feasibility study to even see if converting to LED is financially viable. Their quote for that was $7,500 to do the feasibility study, and that's just step one. Then there's a step two, which is the design aspect of it, and there's, that's $10,000+ for that. And then you're looking at close to $200,000+ for the actual purchasing of the lighting and ongoing maintenance through that company. It is not cheap. There are grants that are available. Maryland does have a specific grant to assist, I should say, not just for, but to assist in purchasing LED streetlights, but not necessarily fully to take them over. There may be some funding available for that. We also have a new administration and new legislature, so we don't know exactly what programs might come out of this session. Obviously, energy efficiency is on the top of mind, and there was a lot of federal funding thrown at that that's being passed through states. So there may be additional funds for that. In doing this research and discussion with Mr. Baden, it was kind of thought from both of us that, you know, this was just one company reaching out to us, trying to find low-hanging fruit. We would definitely want to do an RFP for it, but I mean, we're still years out from doing any, you know, purchasing it.
So at least for tonight, can we, can I request a motion to transfer any leftover money to?
You could do that in the next work session. I would wait so that we can find out. I mean, the money's there. It's not, it's in the furniture town hall upgrade. You can easily transfer that over, but I don't know what that exact amount is. So I would rather you transfer that exact amount than just what's left over. You know what I mean?
So can we make sure that that's on the
Yes.
agenda for the next work session? Okay, so I see that Ms. Dixon has had her hand up on Zoom for a bit.
I'm patient. I can wait. Good afternoon. It's Ms. Dixon on Newark Road. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay. Ms. Dixon, Newark Road, 2 questions. One, we received, I think at the top of the year, the request for which committees you want to serve on. I completed that, but I never received anything that said, we got yours, we acknowledge your receipt. Is there anything like that that's going to come out? Acknowledging that the entries were received, because I don't know if, you know, computer glitch or whatever might have happened or not.
No, thank you for asking that. I am in receipt of that. The form does work. You are the only person that applied.
I'm sorry.
So we're going to be doing more rounds of calls for volunteers for those committees, but I do have your submission. Thank you.
Okay. And then the other one on the vein of you know, repairs in the town. I know we've all heard about Mrs. Cade, and that fall happened in front of my home. I have been complaining before this administration for some time. What has happened in that space is that the gas company some years back came through and installed lines at all of our properties, or updated lines some time ago. And that particular sidewalk has fallen in, that area of the sidewalk has fallen lower than the driveway sidewalk and made an uneven a misalignment there. And that's been there for some time. And I've been complaining for years about it. I'm wondering, do we have funding in our budget for things like that?
Yes, the council authorized over $400,000 for street and sidewalk repairs. We spent, what was it, $10,000 or $12,000 of it. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's way too much. It was like 1,200 bucks, I think it was. To have a company go around and actually do an assessment of the sidewalks specifically, and the streets to tell us which ones were in dire need, some need ADA accessibility. And right now, town staff, we just received that report about a month ago. And we're going through right now trying to identify the specific areas so that we can do an RFP to have those sidewalks fixed.
I pray I'm high on the list there.
The location, that location, and a couple others that some residents in town have specifically outlined. So we're going to make sure we take care of those in addition to the others that the company saw that they thought needed upgraded for a variety of reasons.
Okay, thank you for that. I will warn that I don't even know what you call it, depression, I don't know, in the sidewalk. It's different than what it even looks like, right? I've seen children, I've like yelled out, slow down when the children are riding their bikes. I've seen kids like go forward riding their skateboards and not recognizing that space and just going in the air almost. That space, you can feel the indentation in the dirt area as well. You literally sink into the dirt space. not just the sidewalk. So that gas line created a whole void in that space. So I would just warn you, it's the gas line that's there, so you have to be careful there. I even think that at some point, what we suffered from with that project when it did happen, and I couldn't tell you now, it's probably 10, 12, maybe longer years. I think they covered my clean out from the neighbor's driveway. When they put everybody's driveway concrete back, I think they actually covered my clean out that's in that space. And WSSC will not break up the concrete to release my clean out because they don't show it on the plans, even though it's sitting there and you can see the neighbors. I'd have to explain that to you in person, but yeah, they totally bricked over my clean out. So that was a botched job, but we're still suffering from it. That was the only questions I had. And then the recommendation on the lighting, I heard the chief talk about some individuals wanting the bright lights, some of them not. Might be a good recommendation to survey those who are affected in that area to say who wants the bright lights, who doesn't, so that the citizens feel they have a say and have been heard. And if it's one person that's saying, I don't want bright lights, but it's 15 that's saying, hey, give us lights, we got to pray for that one. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. So I have a question. So that report that we received, the assessment, what are we going to do with it? Like, are we sharing a copy with council? Have they already received? I don't think, no, we haven't distributed that yet. So what are the next steps?
Yeah, the next steps, one of the reasons I mean, I can gladly share it with you. It's a little overwhelming. It's many pages and it's literally if you can imagine going down one street, it's like every other sidewalk and this one has a crack and this one has this and this one has an impression, depression. This apron needs fixed. This is 88 or this crossing is not 88 compliant. And then has the number of actual blocks of a concrete sidewalk, but then also the cubic yards of concrete that would be located in that. And then there's a total at the end of that. So if you were to do everything, I know exactly the number of cubic yards of concrete we would need to go through. The question is, one, I really doubt we have enough money to redo all of the sidewalk that had been identified in that. So this company knew going in that they weren't the ones doing the work. So they kind of outlined as part of their contract every little flaw. So if it wasn't a perfectly square, flat piece of concrete, they noted it. So it's kind of an overwhelming thing. That's why staff now is going through and identifying, which of those are the most drastic issues. Obviously, the sidewalk ramps that aren't ADA compliant are probably one of a major concern. Those should probably be all updated no matter what. And then locations like these. So we're going through that process right now. I can't really tell you when.
So when you say staff, who on staff does that mean?
Yes, currently Mike and myself.
Okay, so you and
Yes,
Mike.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and that also included stop signs, right?
Not that study.
Oh,
No,
that's a different study.
no, that is the traffic study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That has also been completed, but it's in draft form. So, yeah.
So is there anything that we can do to discuss this at either a work session, have a separate meeting
Mhm.
about this, or I don't know, like what?
Yes.
Okay,
We may need to just phase it, to do multiple phases of it going through the town in some direction. Just because there is going to have to be an RFP process. You have to outline exactly the cubic yards of concrete you're looking for, identifying the locations first, putting it out for bid, getting contractors to actually bid. I mean, so just that process alone is several months of getting RFPs and bids back, but you have to know the specifics. Otherwise, you're going to get more botched jobs is what was mentioned.
so then a strategy might be to look at each ward and just pick out a couple of areas that we work on and then phase it out into some type of a plan for the next
Yeah.
1 to 2 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna close out resident comments, public comments for now, just so that we can just push through with mayor report, approval of minutes, council report. Then we can discuss the town council rules, the household assistance program, and then open it up again for public comments. So, all right, so mayor's report. As I mentioned before, we met with our senator, with our delegate, with our lobby firm, and we're working on lowering the debt of our building. And I already discussed kind of the situation that we're in, and that was very eye-opening to me. We've also been dealing with a lot of the local kids wanting to use our gym and trying to figure out how to address that situation. So personally, I don't like to turn kids away if they want to use the gym. However, we don't have a rec coordinator. So we're trying to figure out how we can do that. We're also trying to figure out who we allow to use the gym, the responsibility that they have. And I want to propose in the future that we have some type of a resolution that discusses what vetted organizations or groups we partner with to do certain things. So this means that, for example, Foundation of Greatness, who we are currently working with, we have vetted them because we know that they are a verified 501c3. We have background checks on them. We know who their staff is. We have, I believe we might have copies of their bylaws, something like that. So creating a process where we work with different groups in that way. And then really just tightening up our policies and procedures for use of this building. As far as past events, so I want to thank Cottage City. I want to thank Commissioner Wheatley and all of their staff for the amazing Black History Month event that we had here at the town hall. It was beautiful. We had Millicent Sparks do a portrayal of Harriet Tubman. We had a jazz band accompany them. We had a panel discussion on Black resistance. We had tastings from different restaurants. I want to thank Delegate Ivy for coming out, Senator Augustine for coming out, for Mayor James from Bladensburg coming out, all the council members that came out from Bladensburg. It was a beautiful event, and I'm really looking forward to our next Black History Month event on the 24th, where we talk about the stories, where Black families who live in Colmar Manor share their stories of living in Colmar Manor. For me, as I mentioned, well, I've mentioned it to other people, we've had a strong legacy of Black leadership in the town of Colmar Manor, over 40 years of Black leadership. Our first Black mayor was elected in 1982. And that legacy still continues with people of color being in positions of leadership in the town. And that's something that I'm incredibly proud of. Upcoming events that we have coming up in addition to that Black History Month is the District 47A will be holding a food distribution on the 25th from, oh God, I don't know what the time is. I think it's 10 or, hold on, it's in the newsletter. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Larrissy lot next to KFC. Senator Augustine and Delegate Fennell, along with Delegate Ivy, will be there giving food to our community, which is, again, thank you so much for doing that. It's amazing. Some other upcoming events that we have is this Saturday, we'll be hosting a meet and greet for English classes for residents in the town. So we have a partnership with Cottage City and also with Foundation of Greatness. And we're hosting a registration drive. So if you are looking to get English classes, if you know of any residents that might be interested, please help spread the word. We'll also be having a craft day on that same day from 12 to 3. If you're interested in doing crafts, feel free to come on by. Everything is free. On the 28th of February, we're going to be having another small business networking event. I want to give a thank you to Mr. Lusk, who's been hosting us every other month at IHOP, so we'll be doing it again. He is very happy to support that. So we've partnered with the town of Brentwood to go ahead and continue these. So if you're a small business owner, if you're an independent contractor, come out, meet other entrepreneurs like yourself. We usually have guest speakers, and it's just a great way to connect and learn about the resources that are out there for you. I want to give a huge thank you to the Recreation Committee because they're organizing lots of events for us. So on the 10th of March, we'll be having a salsa wind down. So we'll be having a salsa instructor, and we're inviting everyone to come out and just enjoy being with your neighbors, learning how to dance salsa, listening to some good music. And just ongoing events, I have to admit, I've become addicted to Zumba. So we have Zumba every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 p.m. So definitely feel free to come. It's free for town residents. Just come out, and it's a great way to get movement into your routine. It's not difficult, and it's some great music. We also have exercise classes on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Again, it's free. And on Sunday mornings, you'll usually find me here on the track walking. So if you're interested in walking or even trying to attempt to start a walking group, I'm here and I'm all for it. And then finally, I just want to go ahead and read this proclamation for Black History Month. So, whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, and whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, whereas the 2023 national theme for the observance is Black resistance. By resisting, Black people have achieved triumphs, successes, and progress as seen in the end of chattel slavery, the dismantling of Jim and Jane Crow segregation in the South, increased political representation at all levels of government, desegregation of educational institutions, the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and increased and diverse representation of Black experiences in media. Black resistance strategies have served as a model for every other social movement in the country. Thus, the legacy and importance of these actions cannot be understated. Whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals, and whereas continues to work toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. And whereas the town of Colmar Manor is proud to have had numerous African-American elected community and spiritual leaders throughout its history, and now, therefore, in recognition of African-Americans, past and present in our community, I, Monica Casañas, do hereby proclaim February 2023 to be Black History Month, and I encourage all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. So thank you. I'm super excited to be celebrating Black History Month. Very proud to live in this community and to learn from all of the previous mayors and all the political leaders that we have. And I'm just thankful and proud. Yeah. So next up is the approval of minutes for the January 4th work session, January 4th, 2022, January 11th, 2022 meeting, January 10th, 2023 meeting. So I would like to request a motion to approve these minutes. And these minutes are in the packet.
If I'm not mistaken, where's their recommended change to by Ms. Bethay? Was there a recommended change to our minutes when you went to the podium to speak? Thank you. Councilmember Harder, make a motion to accept the approval of minutes or make approval of minutes. for January 4th, January 11th, and January 10th.
Councilmember Hobbs seconded.
Is there any discussion? Okay, so all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. And just a quick update, we're working on getting minutes approved. So we have staff that's logging the minutes, and we're hoping that in the next couple of months, they'll be done and approved, and that will be up to date with our minutes. So next we have council reports from the council.
Councilmember Harding. Yeah, no, I don't have much to report today. I hope that everyone's doing well in the month of February. I hope that you spent your Valentine's Day well. I hope that everyone's staying safe. And yeah, just want to keep spreading love.
Ward 2 report, Councilmember Hobbs. I just wanted to say thank you to our chief, Mr. Tracy, Chief Tracy, for following up on the request regarding a property that had feral cats. So it looks like they've cleaned up the man-made shelter for cats that was at the front of the house. However, the issue of feral cats still persists, and according to another resident, there is still feces around. So with even the shelter was removed, the cats are still going to be there because that's where they were fed before. So also appreciate Chief reaching out to Mr. Cook. Is it Coke? And I was wondering if you received any follow-up from him. And I'm very happy that for one, we have a group forming in town that can help tackle this issue, but also we have grants available to tackle the issue, correct? Okay, so hope we will move on this. So yeah, that was my just short thank you and a concern from other residents.
I don't think.
Okay, so we have staff reports, but I wonder if this is where we talk about the town council rules. The next item. Yeah, so should we just go through staff reports or do we? Okay, so, all right, so we have staff reports, so treasurer report, public safety report, town administrator report.
Is there? Yeah. Okay, good.
Hello,
Hey, Dan.
am I on, Tracy?
You are on.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead. You are on.
You can hear me?
We
Okay, I can't tell. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. My report is the January 2023 report, which is for the first 7 months of the current fiscal year. For those of you familiar with the report, it has the revenue and expenditures for the town for the 7 month period from July 1st of 2022 to January 31st, 2023. I was not going to spend a lot of time on the report itself, but thought it may be helpful to kind of give a background on the financial position of the town based on some of the comments by the residents and council earlier tonight.
He's probably jumping back in the pool.
Hey, Dan, turn your camera on.
Am I back on? Am I on?
Yes, you're back on.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is that I wanted to just give a brief overview of the finances of the town from a general perspective, and let everyone know that when we do prepare a budget at the beginning of a fiscal year, a lot goes into it. And we are required by law to have a balance. Our revenue must equal our expenditures, and so for the current year, that is the case. So with the revenues we the tax rate for the town dates back about 15 years to 2008. That's when the town decided to reinstitute our police department as well as build the new town hall. In doing that, it basically doubled the taxes on the residents, and that's how we now have one of the largest tax rates in the state. So, it's something that we've dealt with for 15 years. And every budget year, when it comes around the budget, we work through that in order to, have a balanced budget, which we're required to do. And, we'll be, we usually work pretty hard. In the last 3 years, we've actually kept the rate at the constant yield rate, which means none of the residents in Colmar Manor paid any more in their taxes than they did the prior year for Colmar Manor taxes. So, Tracy just said that I'm a little choppy. I don't know if there's anything else I could do about that. I won't talk too long, but I did want to give everyone assurance that we are in a good financial position. We do have a budget that we need to work through. That's been the case every year. So leave it at that and see if there's any questions. If anyone has once the financial report at the town hall.
Hey, Dan, we need you to repeat what you just said because I didn't understand anything.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
All right. So basically, to summarize, I was just saying that, we do have a balanced budget that we're required to have by law, which means our revenues equal our expenditures. And so we are able to provide the services to the residents that you expect, the public works, the police services, operation of community center, general government operations. And, the tax rate, was commented on that we have one of the highest tax rates in Maryland. I just want to go back and let those that for those who don't, that back in 2008, the town decided to build the new town hall, and they also decided to reinstitute our police department, which we did not have active police department at that time. By doing those two things, it doubled the tax rate, the real property tax rate for the residents. And that is how we now have one of the higher tax rates in the state of Maryland. So, what you get from that, you get a police department, you get a, nice new town hall that offers a lot of services to the residents. The downside of it is, yes, we have the highest tax rate, and we're always looking for ways to try to supplement the budget through grants and things like that in order to continue with the current services and provide additional services to the residents. So when we work on the budget this year, we'll be doing the same thing, but we've been doing it for 15 years. And we'll get through this budget and try to find ways in order to continue providing the services that the residents talked about earlier, the street work, street lights, those types of things. So that's in general what I wanted to say. And if anyone wants a copy of the financial report or has any questions on that, you can pick up a copy of the report at the town hall and give us a call if you have any questions, or send us an email if you have something in between the council meeting dates. Thank you.
So I have two questions, Mr. Baden, and I don't feel guilty because you're in Hawaii, so we're operating in a deficit, I believe. So what does that mean, number one? And then number two, I'm honestly kind of freaking out. Are we gonna be able to have our doors open in the next 7 to 10 years? Are we gonna drain our unreserved funds?
We've done ways over the last few years to balance the budget and to also retain a healthy surplus. So our surplus is $732,000. Healthy surplus is about 25% of your budget, which I think is $450,000. So we do have savings that we could fall back on. And my up again.
Yeah, you're.
So I was just saying that, my.
Try again.
Okay. So I am confident that, the town will, be able to continue for years to come, 7, 8, 10 years, hopefully forever, through good financial management of the town and good decisions made by the council. So I have no doubt that, we will continue on, providing the services that we do. Our surplus of 732,000 is a healthy surplus, so we do have savings to fall back on if we need to. And as far as a deficit, we funded about $113,000 of this year's budget using ARPA funds. A large portion of that was, to hire a full-time town administrator. Over the next couple of years, as the ARPA funds run out, we're going to need to look at other areas in order to get that funding. We could possibly look at the certain program again that we've used in the past with Ms. Goodall for funding. And we'll look for monies in other places as well. So, it's every year budget time, but we've managed to do it year after year, and I anticipate it'll be the same thing going forward in the future.
That didn't make me feel any better. I think that when you get back, we need to seriously sit down and talk, because I'm still kind of freaking out. Like, it's one thing to say that we'll be open for the next 7 to 10 years, as long as the council makes good financial decisions. What does that necessarily mean? And I almost feel, I don't know. I mean, with this debt that we have with the bond bill and whatnot, like, to me, it's really disturbing. And I need to figure this out. So just FYI, I think that we all need to sit down and talk about this particular issue. So I hope that you have a good trip in Hawaii. Because when you get back, I need to talk about the financials of our town and of our town hall.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Public safety.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Public safety report for the month of January 2023 is in the packet that's on the table and will also be on the website. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Just skim through it. We had 136 calls for service or incidents that were initiated by the officers during the month. Normally at this time, I say we didn't have any major incidents. A couple thefts from autos from the shopping center, and that's it. Unfortunately, we do have some more serious incidents to report during the month of January. No theft from auto, oddly enough, but we had a stolen vehicle reported on 39th Avenue, 3400 block on January 4th. It turned out, it initially thought to be stolen. That vehicle was not stolen though. We had a citizen robbery reported at 43rd Avenue and Newark Road on January 11th. The victim was approached by a male who threatened them and stole property. The officers that same evening located the suspect. There was also actually a resident of the town. He was arrested, but he exhibited some psychiatric issues, was taken for a psychiatric evaluation. A warrant was obtained and he has been arrested and charged with the robbery and being held on no bond status until court. We had a suspected child abuse reported on 40th Avenue. That incident did not occur in town, but is being investigated. We had an armed carjacking in the Port Town Shopping Center on the 20th near the CVS. A person was robbed of their vehicle at gunpoint. That happened at about the time you may have seen on the news where there was a rash of carjackings in the area, including Montgomery County. That was part of that ongoing venture. One of the carjacked vehicles from Montgomery County was used in this incident. The vehicle was recovered a short time later, unoccupied in Washington, D.C., and no injuries were reported in that. On the 24th, at about 4:45 in the morning, officers responded for a burglar alarm at the Bank of America at the Port Town Shopping Center. They arrived to find that the ATM machines had been burglarized. The suspects had fled the scene prior to police arrival. And on the 30th, we had 3 commercial break-ins. One at the IHOP, one at the McDonald's, and one at Morazan Restaurant in the 4300 block of Bladensburg Road. And no arrests were made in that. All the suspects were gone when police, they were discovered in the morning when the businesses opened up. So unfortunately, I don't have my usual report of no serious incidents. We had one reportable accident in the month of January. That was on Bladensburg Road, 3700 block. It was a minor accident involving a police vehicle, not ours. No injuries and minor damage in that. For traffic enforcement, we had 36 traffic stops resulting in 90 violation notices issued. For animal complaints, as Councilwoman Hobbs mentioned, we had a complaint in the 3300 block of 40th Avenue of the residents providing food for a large number of cats. We really created an unsanitary conditions, spoke with the owners of the property. The unsanitary condition of part of that seems to have been, is much improved, but I'm sure that there's still remnants that remain, and we'll continue to monitor that. We have been in touch with Prince George's County Animal Control, and they are eager to come out and speak with the residents regarding feral cats. But not only the cat issue, but dog issues and running at large and barking and all that. And we are working with a couple volunteers in the community and an organization and hope to bring everyone together in the near future to follow up on that. For code enforcement, we're still in search of a code enforcement officer. And if anyone has code issues, please contact me and we will see that they are addressed by us or the county or someone.
Have a code issue. So, Lewis Park, the houses that slope down, like the back slopes down into the park. There are a couple of houses. I had never seen this before, but there's a massive amount of trash.
Okay.
And I don't know what we, like, do we send them a note or something? Like, it was crazy. I'd never seen that before. And when I saw it, it made me so sad. It shouldn't be that way at all.
I'll take a look at it and see if it's. So we'll do something with it.
Okay, town administrator?
Yes, the traffic study that was funded through ARPA, the draft report has been completed. I will be getting that out to you. I can get that out to you this week. There's some preliminary things that they've addressed inside of that that we potentially could look at doing in the future. And hopefully I'll have them be able to schedule a time to actually have this discussion with you directly of their findings. The town hall cleaning, the next step, now that the painting's done, the flooring has been finished in the conference room in the main office. I have reached out to a local contractor to have our main hall, the main upstairs floors all done, the carpets cleaned in the police department, the bathrooms, to have the flooring cleaned in there as well, and also in the gymnasium and the walking track, all top scrubbed, and if they can be stripped and waxed. And they're also giving me a quote on protective coating for the basketball court that's would last a little bit longer, quite a bit longer than just waxing it. So more to come on that. In regards to stormwater management, I've been in conversation with the Limited Impact Design Center regarding potential stormwater BMP projects in town. And they've been communicating with the county and several other agencies and external stakeholders to assist us and getting some additional information and identifying additional funding sources. I've also been working with our public works staff, and I attended the first of 4 trainings on stormwater best management practices. It's through a grant program that was received by the Neighborhood Design Center, and they invited us to participate. And this is on the maintenance of BMPs in town and the different types. So it's really, really exciting to be working with the other municipalities on that and kind of sharing our thoughts and potentially working together to find some of the equipment needed to maintain some of these that we don't really have, any of us, to be honest. I also participated in a research interview. This was kind of random. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has hired an engineering company to do research and surveys of communities that are impacted by levees and the information, public information regarding the levees and the risks. And there's supposed to be a report that comes out after all this that we'll be able to receive. So that was an interesting discussion. I've also submitted funding requests in conversation with Delegate Ivy and Councilmember Ivy's offices regarding stormwater management in town and trying to identify funding through both the state and the county on that front as well. The Business District Safety Grant, as I mentioned last month, we received that $87,500 from the state. That package was accepted as of last Tuesday. And then we are already moving forward with Verkada, the company, the camera company, and also the Port Town Shopping Center. And apparently it couldn't come any sooner considering the safety update you just heard. And so we are working with the shopping center right now to do a phase 1 at the shopping center and then a phase 2 with the rest of the business district and reaching out to them. The sidewalk and street improvements, as I mentioned earlier, we're reviewing the study that was done and assessing areas in town that need improvement. We've been giving recommendations at an upcoming meeting. And then there's been a couple other potential projects. One was the National Fitness Campaign regarding their grant program and fitness equipment. It is rather expensive, but think there's potential for us to get to partner with this group. And then also holding a call with the company that I mentioned about streetlights and purchasing those and transitioning those to LED. And then also a solar company contacted us about potential partnership both on public and private property within the town and how that may benefit the actual town on saving money for electricity costs. So conversations, but more to come on those, hopefully. Oh, one last thing. Been working on the special election for Friday, 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. Ward 3 residents can come out and vote. We are ready for that. Absentee ballots. If you have a request for an absentee ballot, please get that in as soon as possible, and we will deliver. We will personally deliver the absentee ballot request and the ballot and have you sign it at your door. If you want to vote right then and there and hand it back, we'll do that too. But as long as it's in by 8 p.m. at the close of the election on Friday, it can still be accepted, the ballot, that is.
Sorry, can we hold and we can come up? Okay. Do we have any discussion or questions on any of the reports, treasurer report, police or public safety report, town administrator report?
I will check into it. The day that it occurred, I was under the impression that it would be back in service that day, but it has not come back in service. And I haven't seen any progress on it. So, but maybe.
So I had a
Mr. Holcomb
resident,
is-
I'm actually forgetting who told me this week, but I had a resident tell me that they called Bank of America to ask why it was not fixed yet. And apparently there's a part that's on back order. So something that was broken. But yeah.
All right, so sorry, anyone else? No, nothing? So can we go on to the town council? Can we go on to 14, 15, 16, and then open it up for more resident and public comment?
Do we need to accept the reports? Would like to make a motion to accept all the reports, treasurer report, police report, and town administrator's report.
Councilmember Hardy, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, oh, actually, sorry, discussion, we already asked. Okay,
Yeah.
so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so yeah, so now can we go on to town council rules, household assistance program, and the apron request. So I'm gonna pass town council rules to you. Greg, welcome, town administrator.
So as we discussed at our work session, these are a set of proposed rules for the council meetings. These are all only suggestions, but hopefully if you want to move forward with them tonight, you're more than welcome to. The main changes that I think really affects the meetings the most is just solidifying a couple things, solidifying the 72-hour rule, as I like to call it, the 3 business days of having a packet out and an agenda set. Obviously, agendas can be still adjusted. I mean, there were some adjustments even as today for some of the speakers that came earlier. But for the main business items, to try to get them in the Friday prior to the weekend before, so that people have time to digest everything. Solidifying where the posting is going to be at town hall and also on the website. The biggest change, I think, is changing kind of the meeting agenda and adding a consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes and then the different department operational reports, including the committee boards, commissions, and task force reports. And so what this would do would be to combine all of what just happened with the treasurer, the public safety, myself. If we would have had committee reports and the various committees in town, all that would be in writing. If you had a question, any council member, the rules state, any council member can ask for a specific question regarding those or to pull one of those reports to have a discussion. But if there are no questions related to that, they can simply move to accept the consent agenda and approve all of those to try to keep the meeting flowing and get to the major parts. That was really the major components that sort of change the things regarding the council rules, the passage of the rules, and the minute outline, things like that, are things that we kind of already do. It's just solidifying that in actual rules that hasn't been done. So the question I have after the work session was whether or not you had any changes to these. It does set the schedule for the meeting at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. So it would change that. And that was something that I left to you all to kind of think about to see if that was something you wanted to move forward with or any changes.
The question, so the 6 p.m. applies only to the town council sessions or the work sessions or both?
So the way written is it applies to the town council meeting, the work session. So by town code, we only have to meet once a month for a meeting. And so it doesn't actually specify a time or date for work sessions. So that would be, as it's stated in the town code, that can be done at any time. You can hold a work session. As long as you go through the process at least 24 hours in advance and set an agenda and do all the legal things, but that can be done on a Friday at 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. if you wanted.
I asked the question, last time during the work session, if 6 p.m. is better for the council people, and also consider if it's also better for our residents.
Well, on behalf of me, Councilmember Harding, I'm fine with doing 6 o'clock. I would hope that it's better for people in regards of not keeping them at the town hall late anymore. We can get to more issues, and it seems here that it's outlined to focus on issues rather than, focus more on the issues rather than list out reports, just have the information available. So I'm for moving to approve the council rules if anyone else is in favor.
Did the changes that I asked for, Greg, get included in the
As you know,
procedures that are being asked for now?
online, and I'm not sure if I can guarantee to be there at 6 p.m. at all times. At all times, yes. So I can't do that. So in this situation, I'm saying I'm flexible, but in this situation, if I can't be there, would I have to always ask for permission to reschedule the meeting for later? What can I do in that situation? What would be the communication?
I don't know. I think that we would need to have something that's consistent.
Right.
Like for the public town halls, I think they need to be consistent. So if you don't think that you can be here at 6,
Yeah.
and it is a change.
Yeah. Yeah, I know not next meeting, I already have like a work trip. So I know that's coming up and I will be joining online. But I cannot guarantee I don't know the schedule yet. So I cannot guarantee I'll be available at 6. So I suggest just keeping it at the way it is at 7. So that way, I won't be failing to show up or to join online.
That's fair. I think what we're trying to do, I think what town administrator is trying to address is not staying here till 10 and not having meetings that take 3 hours long. And so we realize, and I don't know if you've come to this realization, but when we have the committees come and report things, they're giving out dates. They're not really giving anything that we need discussion on. And that's something that you don't need to come up and and talk to give dates. Like it can go in a packet, it can go on a flyer, we can use our channel, we can send out, email blasts about it, but we don't need to take up time doing things that aren't really benefiting anyone. A lot of the times we don't have people show up to our meetings. So it's draining. And if we have more pressing things to talk about, for example, property taxes, I mean, I think that's where the focus should be. So that's the only thing. So I'm not sure if starting at 6 is gonna make that big of a difference, but what I'm looking to do is just streamline these meetings because they're taking way too long. When I look at other towns, they have meetings that are like an hour long. So I want to get to that point.
So I think that's a good thing to strive for. And, we just approved the meeting minutes for the past years, and I looked at the hour just to remind myself, how shorter the meetings are now. It's like, because we were here for till 11, until 12, 1 o'clock. It was very exhausting. So, I think, yes, we have now an agenda that is going till 9 p.m. Not that bad. And also, when you suggested doing a consent agenda, that I think that will save us time as well. So yes, hopefully hopefully we can shorten our meetings to 2.5, 3 hours max. Yes, when we do other measures, maybe. But at 7 p.m., it seems like that would be the time that I can be sure that I'll be there.
I believe Mr. Baden has a comment.
Oh,
Hopefully we can
Can
hear.
you hear me? Yeah, Greg, I just had a question. I had sent you over some proposed changes to those procedures. Some of them included allowing motions to be made at work sessions in addition to the regular meetings or town meetings. Did you make those changes in the procedures that are being adopted?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure they got in there.
so it's about motions at work sessions, or what was the question and what was the edit that Dan was talking about?
One of the things, I had mentioned this at the work session, one of the things was that there was a clause in there that would allow, I remember how it was worded. I believe that allowed residents to place the item on the agenda for a meeting. There was a process for that, and that kind of based on one of Dan's recommendations and kind of my own thought process too after the fact was changing that, because that's the council's job. So if a resident has a concern that they want on the agenda to have discussed by the town, they need to go to the council to ask the council to talk about it. And so it allows the council members to still put anything on the agenda. It just took out that mechanism. And there was something about, I would have to look that back. I don't recall exactly, but I did make the changes before even submitting this to the work session.
Yeah, one of the other major items was that you originally had it worded that you could not take action during a work session. And I said, I asked that you do allow it because I think that delays decision-making to once a month, whereas if you call a work session or a special work session, if you can't take any action, then why would you call them?
Yes, so what was changed in that, sorry, I remember now. What was changed in that, I did change that. The only thing that we kept in there was that new ordinances and resolutions could be introduced at a work session and discussed, but no formal action on those ordinances would take place or resolution. But they still can make motions to do expenditures, to do appointments, to do other town business. So that still applies. It's just mostly because of the formal process behind the ordinance to get it passed and having to advertise. That was the only thing that we kept out of that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, awesome. And I think we need to just look into the ways that residents can provide testimony. So they don't, I would like to see some type of a mechanism where they don't necessarily have to attend. They can either email, they can, I know that you had mentioned something about surveys during our meetings, which I think is a great idea. So I think it would be interesting to see what other tools we can put in place to get more feedback from residents.
Yeah, and we did, and that's a good note on that. And C, under resident and community input, we added that as part of the rules that we would provide a form on the town's website that residents could submit questions or concerns on the specific items for that agenda as well, to help with that process.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's great. So I think we have copies of the packet here, but packet is also available online. So if anyone's listening and just wants to learn a little bit more about these council rules, feel free to access them. It does talk a little bit about decorum and how we want to go ahead and be with each other at these sessions. So professionalism and decorum, both on the part of the residents attending the meeting, but also on the part of mayor and council. So please take a look at that. And I think that's it. Is there anything that you need us to do on this now? Do we need to, do I need to request a motion, or how does this stand?
So I guess the first question is, do you want to change it to 7 PM instead of 6 PM? If you're going to move forward, change it back to 7, that's fine.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have to amend it because this isn't a resolution. It's just going to be a motion to accept the rules. So I can change that to 7. And if you want to, then just a motion to accept the council rules or this new council rules.
I'll make a motion to accept council rules with the exception or the change to change the meetings to 7 PM.
This Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, I'll make that motion stated. Oh, I second that, sorry. Sorry.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so let's, so now we have the household assistance program and then the driveway apron request.
Yeah, so the household assistance program, we're bringing this back to you. This is the resident assistance program before. We only had 2 applicants for that. Only one was approved. The other one. Going back to, Treasuries, yeah. So this is designed, by the way, as Mr. Baden pointed out the last time, how District Heights had a program where people simply kind of signed off on it. This is designed off of District Heights program. So even in that scenario, they still had to meet the income requirements in order to do it. But the requirement for paperwork isn't show us a bill or show us you're behind or show us your taxes. It's just a signature saying I have been affected by COVID and I'm certifying that I'm in need.
Okay, so it says, subject to the availability of HAP funding, the town will provide 750 for each member of an eligible household up to, excuse me, a max of 3,000 per household. So then they would just come say, hey, I'm behind on whatever, sign a note, and then we would disperse money to them as long as they meet the eligibility requirements.
Yeah, so they would simply provide in section 2 of the application, it simply says has your household's income or assets been directly or indirectly impacted by COVID? If so, please check why. And then the next is the gross household income section. They would fill out with the different names and the amount. And then, yes, they would just simply sign off on the end of that.
Is it possible to raise the eligibility income levels? Or is that not advisable?
No, that's not. Yeah, based on the consultant's recommendation, he said it would be very, very difficult. We have to report this back to the federal government, and these types of programs were designed to help the people that need it the most, which, yes, the dollar amount may seem low, but it's based on where we live and those income amounts that are set by the government, the percentages. So,
Okay, so what do you need from us tonight?
so I just need approval, if you're okay with the program moving forward like this with a dollar amounts too. The $750, those are recommendations, 3,000 per household. That was based on kind of a basic math kind of scenario or equation of the number of median income households in the town as an estimate to try to figure out if we have enough to make sure that everyone could get it if they wanted it. Because once the money runs out, whoever applies after the money runs out doesn't get anything.
Councilmember Hobbs makes a motion to, is it accept would be or approve? Approve the allocation of $59,000 for the household assistance program benefiting our residents in town who are of moderate income levels or low income levels.
Councilmember Harden, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion on this?
Proud of this.
You proud of this?
Mhm.
I'm proud of this too, but we're not getting people applying for it. So I don't know what's going on.
Two applied and then one didn't.
Yeah.
eligible, and
Yeah,
were we able to help that one?
yes. And it was an emergency situation too, so it was very helpful. And it literally happened like the day after you all approved it, so it was very, very timely. The person didn't know. It just happened that way, so.
So they didn't.
At the time, no, it just happened right about the right time. Yeah, and then the other individual, unfortunately, the income amounts were higher. And it was, I think a lot of the two had to be, for rental assistance, technically speaking, and I know that this is debatable, but technically speaking, less than 20% of the town are rental properties. So how many people are really behind on their rent? When you break down those numbers, there's not a lot of households that would fall into that. And then potentially you have illegal rentals happening. So you're not exactly going to apply for rental assistance if you're not legally renting your apartment or a room or something along those lines. So you either had to be behind on your mortgage or delinquent on your utility bills. And there are, and this was kind of warned at the time, there are programs for all the utilities as well that have very similar guidelines. I mean, you have to put limitations on it at some point, otherwise you run out of money real fast.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now the apron discussion.
Yes, so this was a request by the resident. If you go to the very last page, there's a picture of the house with the new concrete. This is a permitted driveway expansion. The resident is requesting, so the permit did not allow for the curb cut to be expanded with the actual driveway. So their new driveway is now wider than the apron going into the driveway, and they're asking for permission from the town. In order to get the permit through the county, they have to get our permission to allow them to expand the apron towards the center of the property there, as you can see. Yeah, to cut the curb down. There is one concern, and this is really more to do with the contractor, whoever ends up doing this, if you allow it, is there is a water meter there. So that they have to be very careful to not impact that, but that's not necessarily our official concern as much as it is. I mean, that would be the residents' responsibility to make sure, and the contractor's responsibility to make sure that that's upkept.
So in this situation, they get a contractor to come in and do the work.
Yes, they would have a contract, probably the same one.
But they live in Brentwood, not in Colmar Manor.
Fortunately, the county's system pulls it up as Brentwood. Mhm. Yeah, the GIS system pulls it up that way. So I will note that, not that it matters that much, but there are two other driveways within a couple homes of that one that are wider than that already. One of them's wider than their driveway, and the other half of it's just grass. It's not even a driveway. So that's historically been like that. And then the other one is, I think it was gravel and concrete. Oh, yes, Chief. Yes.
On, well, without a code enforcement officer, I'm kind of put my code enforcement hat on, but to me, the driveway looks like it is very large and would have required a variance. And they did receive a permit. I think that the town should have been consulted prior to the issuance of the permit, and I don't know that that did or didn't happen. I have not seen anything on that. And it looks like the application was made in July of last year and the permit was issued in October. So there's a several month delay there, and I don't know if that's when they notified it or even if they notified us. I think in the end, probably grant the request to do the apron, but I'd like to find out how we got to this point without the town being consulted on the driveway. Now, whether that's an error in the application or an oversight on the county's part, or that we received notice and never took action on it, I don't know what it is, but I don't know if that's you want to approve the permit tonight and we'll follow up on that, or wait till that's discovered and then approve this, or.
How would they have consulted with the town? We don't have anyone that would.
I think in the normal process, well, there's a certain amount of coverage that you can have on your property, including the house, non-permeable pavement, the concrete, and whatever, 30%, I don't recall what the percentage is. If you submit an application to the county that exceeds that, they're supposed to consult with the town and do a variance hearing, or the town should be consulted prior to issuing that permit. For instance, if you were to make an application to do an addition on your house, they look at your square footage and your coverage, and they say, oh, and almost all of ours, when they make an application to do an addition, to do driveways, almost every one of them exceeds that. They come to the town with a request for a variance, and in most cases in past history, the town has approved that. Sometimes we have offered or suggested that in lieu of concrete, do permeable pavers or something along those lines. But in this case, you can see it's in that picture, it's a pretty big driveway that currently exists. And going through photos of recent photos of that street and of that residence, that driveway was enlarged within the last couple of years.
We still don't have any staff that they would have, like, who would they have consulted with? The police? Like, who?
No, that's why I say may have been an I don't know whether the county, the county would send the town a letter saying, this is what's proposed, what's our standing on that. I don't know that came or didn't come, or if it may be an oversight on the county part. And they just said, oh, sure, it's good. Go ahead and build what you want. I don't know.
Because I see a lot of construction going on where a lot of people like add a floor to their houses. And I'm like, wow, how do they get approval to do that? Like, it's.
And the code tries to catch them. We have one currently, 3400 block of 39th Avenue, that when we saw it, initially looked to be a roof replacement, found quickly that it was more than that, but they do have their permits. It's a permitted.
The one on the
dormer.
corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's permitted. But there's some that get passed that don't, and we had someone building a deck last month, and we did a stop work order, and I guess they realized they would never get a permit for what they were trying to do and took it down. So that was that's.
I have another question. Is this property a rental property, or is it a potential, the house that will be on the market?
I don't know the answer. I did notice that the homeowner and the applicant are two different names, but as far as I know, in that process, the owner has to be involved in that permit process. You can't go as a tenant and get a permit to build property.
Ms. Bethea wants to say something. Sorry, Ms. Bethea, can you go up to the mic?
Looking at the picture is a matter of education when you look at all the concrete, and this is what they're trying to avert in future with stormwater management. And one of the programs they have is permeable bricks, of which that if they did this, the water wouldn't run off into the street down the drain. Permeable bricks would have the water run into the ground and then reabsorb. So this is a perfect picture of what education of stormwater management would do instead of laying down more concrete. Anacostia Watershed and Chesapeake Bay Foundation offers those programs.
So can we say that we want them to use permeable materials?
I think it's too late, unless the only way to do that would to have them remove that. I don't know if we have that authority. What I'd kind of like to see is to explore what happened and then bring this back up at the next work session to see what occurred at the county level, what, if anything, we missed. Or I'd hate to see this at every property in town from a stormwater management perspective. That's what it's a lot of concrete. And we have there's a few of those in town as is that are, we have a few that have concrete yards. There's no grass.
Okay. So we're gonna look into it and talk about it at the next work session. Do we need a motion or like, what do we?
Yeah, well, let me take that off. I don't like it. I would if table it till the work to the
Okay,
March
so
work session.
can someone make a motion to table this for our next work session? Or up until our next work session?
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, I'll make that motion stated.
Councilmember Hobbs, I'll second it.
Any discussion?
You're welcome.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Okay, okay, great. So let's open it back up to resident and public comment for the rest of the evening. It is 8:17.
Julianne Bethea, I don't know, Monroe Street. Will there be van transportation for seniors for voting day? Provided?
So that is a good question. All election days are considered holidays per the council resolution. Therefore, the bus drivers are also given a day off. I don't know, I think we would have to pay them holiday time if they were to come on to do that. I would recommend that if someone wanted to vote and was a senior, that they just request an absentee ballot and we'll just come to their house and deliver the ballot.
Okay.
I mean, that the council has the authority to do, I'm just letting you know what you asked the question. No, that it has not been planned that way. And part of it has to do with that it's a paid holiday per the council.
And did we have senior shuttle for the last election? No? Have we ever done it?
Yeah, they have it in the
Yeah.
past.
Years
Yeah.
ago, they did
Yeah.
have the shuttle available on election day. In recent years, no. And the absentee ballot process has become a bit easier. So in the last several elections, no for the transportation.
Something to consider. The second thing, when will the times change for election? Because usually they follow the federal and state, they open up at 8. So those people who go to work, 9, don't get a chance to come in before they go to work to vote. They have to wait till the evening, and sometimes they can't come the evening because they may be asked to stay late at their job. So my question and concern was the timing of the voting day. Usually it's 8 to 8. This is 10 to 8.
The last election wasn't that.
Yeah, so the Board of
No, the
Election.
last one was 10 to 8.
The Board of Election Supervisors met in early January and set the schedule from 10 to 8 based on the historic precedent. The town code technically does say something different.
It does.
But from my understanding, and the Board of Election Supervisors who've been doing this for a long time all stated this, that they've never followed that time schedule. So this is just following the normal, what has normally been done. But this is what the Board of Election Supervisors voted on.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And all residents have the opportunity to vote absentee, and we will deliver it to your house.
So can we give it like another 10 to 15 minutes to see if any other residents show up or anyone else on Zoom has some type of a comment? So it's 8:21, so really? That's because we started at 6. Is there anyone on Zoom that wants to provide comment? Has any questions? Well, I'm thinking in the future, I really don't like being this far away from people, so I'm
Yeah.
almost thinking to bring people closer. I don't know how that affects anything, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I just wanted to ask a question about the household assistance program. And so you have to provide your income, and is it based on 2022s or 2021? What is it based on? Is it 2021?
This is always the trick when it comes to this.
Yeah.
It is based on your last tax return.
Okay,
So if you filed your tax return already this year, then
Mhm.
that's the number.
okay,
If you haven't filed this year, then it's last year's.
okay.
Yeah, so it's what's verifiable by the IRS as the time of application.
Now, do you have to provide that when you do this application?
No, there's
Does it
no
do anything?
documents requested. It's just a form.
The
They just have
form.
you fill out what the income is and what it's from and what it's, how much it was.
Okay.
But
and-
there's no documentation.
And so who gets to see this?
So this is submitted to a staff member in-house, Eileen, and then she sends it to the consultant,
Mhm.
and he verifies all the information. If he has questions, he may reach out to the individual that applied, but that's the only two people that would, so anyone, it would be any staff member up front, but
Sure.
we're really just copying it or scanning it to give to him. He reviews it all and gives us the yay or nay, so to speak.
That's the ARPA representative.
Correct, yes.
I remember
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to double
Yeah,
check
and
and make sure.
it's nice too, because it gives us a third party.
Mhm.
He's not, I mean, yes, he's being paid by the town, but he's not, he doesn't know anyone here. He's
Sure.
not, it's an unbiased opinion,
Mhm.
a secondary opinion.
Thank you so much.
No problem, thank you.
I have a question. Sorry. I'm sorry. So my question is like some of the feedback that's being brought up in regards to the election, like the bus and the timing. When would residents have been able to provide, some of this feedback? If we don't necessarily know who the election judges are, do we publish like who they are when they're meeting, or like how does that work for future?
Yeah, all the Board of Election Supervisors meetings were all publicized exactly like council meetings are, by posting it on the website. We did send out an email to all residents informing of the election. The Board of Election Supervisors set the schedule. We sent out an email regarding the schedule. That was all presented to you all at a council meeting as well. There was a letter sent out to all Third Ward residents notifying them that there would be a special election and that there was an opportunity to register to vote. Hold on, I'm trying to think through what the process was. The Board of Election Supervisors at their last meeting, which was just last Friday, was the day that they had to, per the code, was to certify the candidates that had submitted their petitions. And so we met per the code. They also are in charge of the supplemental voter registry, and certified all those that had registered through the supplemental voter registry. Letters were then sent to all the supplemental voter registrants to let them know that they were certified as a voter of the town, what ward they reside in. If they resided in the third ward, they were notified that there was a special election and would be eligible to vote either by absentee or on the 17th. And then all registered voters through the county either has received or should be receiving, I don't know, through the county, they sent out a notification card, but that's once the county, that's in their hands, we don't have control over that. So yeah, those were all the notifications of the election, going back to that first weekend in January.
Awesome. Well, I put it in the newsletter. Thank you to all the people that have been involved with the special election. Thank you to Greg. Thank you, Chief Stone. Thank you to the Board of Elections. And thank you to the people who are running. So good luck to everyone. I don't think that we have any more resident comments or feedback. So I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Councilmember Hobbs proposed to close the meeting.
Councilmember Harden, I second that.
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Thank you.